Here it is, guys. We're back on the Elemental Shaman, just taking another look at some of the changes. There haven't been very many, so I think they're kind of coming down to a decisive decision um, on how they want this thing to be, and it's playing out really, really well. It's not too much different from live, just with a lot of quality of life changes. So what are we looking at? Alright, instead of just straight mana bar, guys, they've got us building on Maelstrom. Most of you probably know this already, but it is the new resource, and it ranks 0 to 100. How do you end up building these? Well, you've got your main core abilities that are going to be Maelstrom generators, like Lightning Bolt. Lightning Bolt, it works the same, it looks completely different, and it actually, they've kind of added a Lightning Bolt sound effect to it. So, now you can be even more annoying as a shaman. Instead of back in the day when you had all your clear casting procs, basically what you would end up getting are, well, right here. You're getting annoying with just casting Lightning Bolt. And it's really cool, it plays nice, and it plays into it, but man, that sound effect it's a little on the rough side. And then the other thing that you're playing that's going to be a main generator, and your biggest generator, is going to be Lava Burst. It always crits as long as you've got Flame Shock up, and it generates 12 Maelstrom when it hits. Huge, huge generator, guys, and it's playing absolutely nice off of this. The other generator you've got is Chain Lightning, and it's going to do medium AoE damage, and it's just a base damage, and it'll chain up to 5 targets. They've taken the reduction completely out of the Chain Lightning spec. So this is playing out decent on AoE side. As long as you've got 4 to 5 targets, you can end up swapping Chain Lightning for it. Other than that, it seems like single target rotations still going to take over for 1 to 3 mobs. So the Chain Lightning, I don't know if I mentioned this, also gives you 4 Maelstrom per target that it hits, so it can generate a good amount also. It's okay. I mean, it's not going to be as good as a single target rotation would be, but that's why I say you need to have at least 4 or more for Chain Lightning to really end up getting into that play. Now, what are your spenders going to be? What are you going to use this Maelstrom on? Well, you've got Earth Shock, and basically it's going to use 10 to 100 Maelstrom, and basically it's going to increase its damage up to an extreme amount between 10 and 100. And they do have a modifier in there, so depending on how much you've got, being more in the 90 to 100 zone is going to give you the best benefits still. Not much different than the our charges that we get, our Lightning Shield charges that we get currently on live, except you're using this actual resource bar. The other item is going to be Flame Shock. Flame Shock is 0 to 20 Maelstrom, and basically it's mild initial damage, and then it gives you the dot still for 15 seconds. That's at 0 Maelstrom. With the you can increase this duration up to 100%. So if you have 20 Maelstrom to spend, it'll do 30 seconds instead. So that helps a lot with the Flame Shock and dealing with it. You also have Frost Shock, which it gets into little neat niche gameplay if you decide to swap your talents up a bit and go with this more frost kind of build, and it's really kind of cool to get into, but pretty difficult as of right now in actual explanation for a quick video, and I want to get a little more tuning before I decide to end up saying, okay, this is going to be the better way to play it. But so those are going to be your spenders, and then you also have Earthquake Totem. Works the same as on live, basically, guys, except no way of improving its damage. It's 50 Maelstrom, does okay AoE damage over 10 seconds, and can still knock down the enemies. Really decent, enjoyable, good to play with. So what do you got for cooldowns? Alright, cooldowns, non-talented cooldowns. You see that I'm in Ascendance right now, but that is a talent. They have it talented. There's a few other ways to go with this. I do still like the Ascendance gameplay, so I decided to take it for these dungeons just to get, yeah, that's what I'm used to, guys. I'll probably swap it up when it gets a little closer. But your main cooldown is going to be the Fire Elemental, and it's on a 5-minute cooldown. It lasts 1 minute, though, and basically it's just going to damage your target. It's another Fire and Forget, unfortunately, unless you... I don't even know if they still got Greater Elementalist in there, to be quite honest with you, because I didn't really enjoy that gameplay too much to begin with. A lot of people did, but they took a lot of the fun factor out to where empowering yourself didn't do as much. So I've always just used it as a fire and forget kind of cooldown, unfortunately. We still have Bloodlust, derp. It's going to be there. It's our deal, just like mages have Time Warp. And then you have your Earth Elemental. Now, this used to say that it did some party damage reduction, but now all it says is it's a 2-minute cooldown, lasts 15 seconds, and it protects you and your allies. So I'm not sure if the defensive product is still in there like they had at the beginning of Alpha, or if this is just going to taunt the mob for 15 seconds. It doesn't say, but I did still use it as a defensive cooldown whenever I knew big damage was coming, and I guess it helped. We didn't die, so... few other changes that they've got. They did bring Ancestral Guidance back. I'm happy to see that thing back. It's kind of in a weird place. It's with your other movement abilities, so... Of course, I'm going to take the survivability one over the actual movement, because most of these aren't very movement-oriented. You've got that one that leaps you forward in the what is it, Gust of Winds, and then you've got the movement totem. Now, depending on what the raid content brings up later on, we more or less will decide from that point. But for these 5-mans and the way some healings are, I took Ancestral Guidance just to end up helping out. So, the artifact, it's also changed. It used to end up making it to where your next 3 lightning bolt or chain lightnings would automatically cause your mastery elemental overload to end up proccing and then do 200% damage. Now it just causes your next 3 casts of lightning bolt or chain lightning to deal 200% increased damage. And currently chain lightning is bugged to where it consumes all stacks. This was confirmed by Blizzard. It is a bug, and it will be fixed to where it'll actually be 3 casts instead of 1 cast, consuming all 3 charges. Guys, how's this thing playing? It's playing almost exactly the same as on live, except with these quality of life changes. There's no longer a cooldown on your shocks, but it's all based through your Maelstrom. So you can swap targets a lot easier than waiting that 6 seconds because you messed up your timing to swap to the mob and actually get that bonus damage off of your lava burst. It's a real nice change of life. You don't have to, in AoE situations, you don't have to prime up your Earthquake before it's actually useful. As long as you've got the Maelstrom, you can drop it down there and go into an AoE or single target rotation with this thing just ticking. It is a very nice quality of life changes. Having a defensive cooldown is really nice because a lot of the cooldowns are gone now, and it's good to see that they've given us some flavor text through the elementals, being that we are elemental, to enjoy, to actually give us a position again, because a lot of elemental shamans were overlooked just because the damage was low, and it wasn't because they could not perform the damage. You just had to be 100% on your timing. If you messed up on a 1 flame shot cooldown, your damage dropped drastically. And by drastically, I mean you might as well have just given up. And if it lined up just right to where your Earth Shock was maxed out and you needed to cast it, they shared the same cooldown, so you couldn't get that Flame Shock up, or you had to end up losing DPS and, you know, overcapping your Maelstroms just to... you get what I'm going with, guys. Your Lightning Shield build up and your Earth Shield, your Earth Shock just ended up completely getting lost on that because he had to use Flame Shock instead because he had to ad swap. Long story short, they fixed those problems, guys. If you've played an Elemental Shaman in Warlords of Draenor, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The Mastery, it's back to being beautiful. We are the only ones with a multi-strike ability again with Elemental Overload. And I did take Elemental Blast. The reason for this is, one, it increases your haste, crit, or mastery. It has a chance to increase any one of those whenever you cast it. But if it multi-strikes, and it does have a chance to multi-strike, you can actually get 2 of these benefits. And currently, in the lower item levels, it isn't so much extra of the stat that it completely changes the gameplay. And it is an RNG factor, but it seems like the RNG is really nice. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this thing. If you did, definitely go ahead and throw us a like and subscribe, and we will get to you with all the best content coming up as soon as possible. Thanks again, guys, and I hope you enjoyed watching.